From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. A Texas woman has been charged with attempted murder and hate crimes after allegedly trying to drown a 3-year-old Palestinian Muslim girl at a swimming pool in May. Elizabeth Wolf reportedly targeted the child because of her mother's hijab and ethnic background. Wolf also attacked the girl's 6-year-old brother. The boy escaped with minor injuries. Wolf was indicted last month with a hate crime enhancement, according to court records. The Council on American Islamic Relations demanded earlier this year that the case be prosecuted as a hate crime. The violent act has drawn condemnation from local officials and advocacy groups, prompting calls for justice and heightened protections against hate crimes. Officials, including Texas State Representative Salman Bojani, expressed support for the victim's family, condemned the attack, and stressed the need for justice. The U.S. and Germany remain the final major arms suppliers to Israel. This comes as international pressure mounts for a halt in military sales due to Israel's war on Gaza, which has killed over 40,000 Palestinians and led to accusations that it is committing genocide at the International Court of Justice. One study in the British medical journal The Lancet estimates that the actual death toll from Israel's war on Gaza is at least 186,000. Israel, a significant weapons exporter, relies heavily on foreign arms for its extensive aerial campaign, which has killed thousands of Palestinians since October. It is described as one of the most intense in recent history. Campaigners and some Western politicians argue that Israel's military operations are failing to protect civilians and facilitate humanitarian aid. Recently, the UK suspended 30 export licenses for military equipment to Israel, citing concerns over international law compliance. The U.S. is Israel's largest arms supplier. It continues to provide substantial military aid, including guided bombs and missile defense systems like Iron Dome. Since last October, the U.S. has also expedited arms shipments to Israel. This has further fueled debate on the arms trade's role in the unprecedented human rights violations in Gaza. Israel has killed 28 Palestinians over the past 24 hours, 22 in Gaza and 6 in the West Bank. The latest attacks include a bomb targeting a car near Tubas and the fatal shooting of a 16-year-old boy in the Farah refugee camp. Reports from the Palestinian Red Crescent and Wafa News Agency indicate the boy was shot multiple times and efforts by ambulance crews to reach him were obstructed. Since last week, Israeli military operations in the northern West Bank have killed 39 Palestinians and injured 145. Palestinian authorities report that 4,000 residents in East Jenin have been forcibly displaced. Forcible displacement is a war crime in international law. In Gaza, Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 15 people since dawn on Thursday, bringing the total to 22 in 24 hours. Notable incidents include an attack near Kamal Adwan Hospital, resulting in 3 deaths, and a strike on an apartment in the Rimal neighborhood, killing 1 and injuring 6. Israel's war has devastated Gaza's educational infrastructure, with 80% of schools either damaged or destroyed. Israel has killed 40,861 in Gaza and wounded 94,398 others since last October. A report in the British medical journal The Lancet in July estimated that deaths due to Israel's war on Gaza could be approximately 186,000. Israel also faces accusations of genocide for its ongoing violence in Gaza at the International Court of Justice. The House Foreign Affairs Committee has subpoenaed Secretary of State Antony Blinken to testify about the problematic American withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021. Chairman Michael McCall is demanding Blinken's testimony on September 19th to address the role of the State Department in the chaotic evacuation efforts. The subpoena could lead to contempt charges if Blinken fails to appear. Despite previous testimonies and providing extensive documents to Congress, the State Department has clashed with the committee over access to additional records. This ongoing dispute highlights significant scrutiny over the decision-making processes that led to the withdrawal, criticized by many as mismanaged under both the Trump and Biden administrations. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller says Blinken has testified before Congress on Afghanistan more than 14 times. He adds that Blinken is unavailable to testify on the dates suggested by the committee. U.S. drug prices remain high despite Medicare negotiations. Details after the break, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Despite recent Medicare negotiations that reduced prices for 10 key drugs, Americans are still paying significantly more than their counterparts in other developed nations. An analysis shows that new U.S. prices for these medications, effective January 2026, are over double those in countries like Australia, Canada, and Sweden. American citizens are also paying thousands more than Sweden and other nations for costly treatments like Imbruvica and Stelara. While Medicare's negotiations brought relief, experts say the U.S. continues to overpay dramatically. They are emphasizing the need for stronger price control measures to align closer with global standards. In a leaked audio, wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, Ginni Thomas, was heard supporting the First Liberty Institute, a far-right group opposing judicial reforms. These reforms gained traction after several scandals involving Justice Thomas's undisclosed luxurious trips funded by Republican billionaires. This private donor call, led by First Liberty's president, also criticized Liberal Justice Elena Kagan, labeling her support for the ethics code as treasonous. The revelations come as calls for a binding ethics code and term limits for justices intensify. This is following reports by watchdog ProPublica on Thomas's acceptance of billionaire-funded vacations. Critics argue that the Thomases are undermining public trust in the judiciary. They highlight the need for significant reforms to restore integrity to the nation's highest court. A measles outbreak in Minnesota has prompted the temporary closure of an Islamic religious school. It has affected at least 30 people, primarily children from the Somali community. Measles, a highly contagious respiratory virus, can lead to severe complications, including pneumonia and brain damage. The Minnesota Department of Health reports that a third of those infected have required hospitalization. Nearly all of those affected are unvaccinated. The state has now recorded 36 measles cases this year. The outbreak has been linked to travel to regions where measles is common, worsening the situation in a community with historically low vaccination rates. In 2021, only 24% of Somali Minnesotan children received the MMR vaccine by age 2, down from over 90% in 2004. Public health officials are increasing efforts to educate and vaccinate the community. Pakistan experienced its deadliest month of August in 6 years, with 254 fatalities from militant violence, according to the Pakistan Institute for Conflict and Security Studies. The attacks killed 92 civilians and 54 security personnel. Militants launched 83 assaults nationwide, resulting in 175 deaths and 123 injuries. The southwestern part of the province of Balochistan was hit hardest, with 125 killed, while the province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa saw a drop in violence but an increase in militant casualties. The surge in attacks follows a national counter-terrorism campaign launched by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif aimed at combating extremism. Despite this, violence persists, with 757 killed in the past 8 months. Accusations of Afghan-based militants behind these attacks continue to strain relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan. As elections for the Indian-Administered Kashmir Assembly approach, Indian opposition leader Rahul Gandhi has pledged to reinstate statehood to the region. In 2019, the Hindu nationalist government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi revoked the region's historic autonomy and dismembered the state into 2 centrally administered territories. Addressing a rally in the city of Jammu, Gandhi criticized the current administration for mismanaging the region. He charged the Modi government of depriving locals of their rights and resources. He also vowed that his Congress party would prioritize restoring statehood if elected. The region faces a 3-phase election starting September 18th. Many see this election as a referendum on Modi's controversial decisions. While the Congress and the National Conference parties seek autonomy restoration, India's Home Minister Amit Shah has criticized their alliance as a threat to national unity. The Himalayan region of Kashmir is split between India and Pakistan, which rule over parts of the territory but claim it in full. A groundbreaking study by the University of Leeds has revealed that the world generates a staggering 57 million tons of plastic pollution every year. This pervades ecosystems from ocean depths to mountaintops and even enters human bodies. The research was featured in the journal Nature and highlights that over 2/3 of this pollution originates from the global south. Using AI to analyze waste management across 50,000 municipalities, the study found that 15% of the global population lacks effective waste collection services. This significantly contributes to high pollution levels in Southeast Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. Major plastic emitters include the cities of Lagos, New Delhi, Luanda, Karachi, and Cairo. Lead researcher Dr. Kostas Velis emphasizes that addressing uncollected waste should be a global priority. He also stresses that inadequate waste management is a resource issue rather than a blame game. The UN warns that plastic production is set to triple, worsening the environmental crisis. Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh's Cox's Bazar and abroad have united to support victims of recent floods in Bangladesh. This is despite their own lack of resources. Young refugees have been going door to door in their camps and reaching out internationally. Through the Al Manahil Welfare Foundation, the refugees have provided relief and cash to 1,600 families affected by the floods. Journalist Saiful Arakani emphasized their gratitude for Bangladesh's past hospitality and the urgency to reciprocate in times of crisis. Over 1 million Rohingya refugees fled to neighboring Bangladesh over 6 years ago. This was after a brutal military campaign against their community that some human rights advocates have described as a genocide. Fariduddin bin Jamiruddin, the foundation's CEO, praised the refugees' dedication despite their own hardships. Resident Hafizur Rahman noted that we may lack resources, but we couldn't ignore the suffering of our Bangladeshi brothers. That's all from our Chicago studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you news you can trust. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment on what you thought of today's coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.